This video is brought to you by the Disc Golf Depot. Check out discgolfdepot.com for more information, or go in and check out the shop today. Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm the Disc Golf Nerd, and today we're going to add another disc to the Disc Reviews playlist, sitting at well over 300 different discs, this time for the Stokely discs Wren. So, Scott Stokely has dipped his toe in making discs and having kind of association with manufacturers in the past. And I actually reviewed some of that stuff way back and was introduced to Scott around that time when he kind of first got back into the scene of disc golf. Also, I interviewed Scott on my podcast here. That's, I don't really make episodes anymore, but those are all out there if you guys want to go back and listen to it and check it out. I enjoyed that interview with Scott very much, talking about the origins of discs in the early days and being there when some of the first or the first like real legitimate beveled edge discs showed up on the scene, literally like as if from nowhere. The whole thing changed when homie shows up in the parking lot with a bunch of discs in the trunk. All of a sudden they're flying way further than they ever did, and the whole game was changed in that moment. So he talks about that, which I thought was real interesting. But getting back to the topic at hand, he now makes discs, and this is the first release, I believe, from his lineup, the Wren and Stratoplastic first run Stokely discs Wren. So with the name being the Wren and his other releases like the Cardinal and the Owl, Scott's going for a bird name theme for the brand, and I think that's great. There's a lot of different options in there, a lot of iconic birds. A lot of people love birding, myself included. I actually got into it in the last few years. A lot of men in my age range seem to. Eventually, you're gonna just end up looking at some birds. But yeah, it's been really fun, and it's not something that I do like kind of with intention. I don't just go out just to look at birds too often. Occasionally I will, but it ties in really well with paddling, fishing, and disc golf. Sometimes, I'll be standing in the middle of the fairway because I'm not trying to find a disc. I'm actually filming a bird up in a tree or something like that to try to get a peek at it and identify it. So I think that's a great idea in terms of the theme name, and with a brand new disc from a brand new company, I always try to touch on those kind of foundational things. So, I did test the Cardinal just a little bit. Maybe I'll throw in a shot of me throwing it right now. Overstable mid-range, seems nice, good like backhand disc that's stable, has good fade at the end of the flight for me, will fly straighter for higher arm speeds, but definitely a solid mold all around that a lot of players could use. And the Wren is kind of that classic, beadless, stable putter that, once again, anybody could use this thing. Brand new player, fine. It's going to be a little stable for you, but you can learn how to throw it and kind of play for that fade and learn how golf discs behave with that stability. At the same time, it's quite neutral as well and will pretty much hold a lot of angles. So just about anybody could use this thing, from a brand new player up to a top-level pro. Solid kind of all-arounder disc, and I think a great one to have in the lineup early on because of that versatility. No flight numbers actually listed on the disc. I believe what happened was Scott had people test this thing and provide flight numbers based on their independent testing, and I think he averaged that out, and that's what's appearing on the kind of production run of the disc. So I think that's interesting, a company actually making an earnest attempt to provide objective flight numbers based on testing of the disc and not any kind of just straight up marketing tactic like some of the other discs we've been talking about on the channel over the last couple years. So the flight numbers as listed after that process are 3, 3.5, -0.5, and then 1. And I don't really have any arguments with those. Those seem fine as far as I'm concerned. We're going to see exactly how it flew for me at the end of the video here when we get to the flight portion. We'll talk about the flights of this thing. And I also have new friend of the channel, Chelsea, throwing some shots with this thing. She bags it, a local player. She was able to help me out first time on the channel, so stay tuned for that. Now we're going to take a look at it next to some other discs, as I always like to do. Another one from a relatively new company, Jester Discs, the Love Putter. This is another solid beadless putter. A little bit more akin to like a more stable Pure in terms of the design, but still something that I thought would be interesting to take a look at next to. As to really solid, excellent putters that I've tried that are relatively new on the market from relatively new companies as well. Jester Disc Love, fully reviewed on the channel, great disc. Another disc that feels relatively similar in terms of the plastic and has a similar overall stability would be the EV7 Telos, previously reviewed as well. Another really high quality disc. Similar feel to the plastic in terms of the flexibility. It's quite low flex, but it still has a nice kind of rubbery, tacky feel on the surface, which digs into the hand nice and gets a nice secure grip without having it be so floppy that it's going to kind of change shape or release out of your hand in an inconsistent manner. So the EV7 Telos plastic, I believe this is an OG medium, feels about the same as the Strato plastic from Stokely discs, and these are relatively similar in terms of stability as well. I'd say the Telos may be a bit more stable, and it's a bit deeper in the hand, but it's been a little while since I've tested it. So all in all, I like the feel of the Wren. It's got a good grippy plastic. I like that it's firm but still grippy, and it's got a comfortable design, not too deep but not too shallow either. A little bit of a flattened lead edge there on the outside with that kind of classic beadless feel when you actually get it into your putter grip. All right, so we talked about the plastic, the feel in the hand, the overall design, the naming scheme, a bunch of other stuff, and there's nothing left to do but take a look at the rest of the flight footage and talk about the flight of this disc. So, as I said, new friend of the channel, Chelsea Taylor here throwing some shots. She putts with this thing and throws it off the tee, throws it on approaches, was able to meet me out in Clackamas, and we tested a whole bunch of them. So there's some thermoplastic ones in there, there's Strato ones in there. The purple ones are her kind of putters and approach discs. There's a white kind of dome top thermoplastic one that we throw as well. That was noticeably more understable, more straight to understable. All the rest of them, especially thrown backhand for our arm speed, mine and hers, I throw probably a bit further than her, but like for our kind of level, it's pretty stable in terms of the flight. It has some fade when it slows down. Like if it had a 2 for fade on the flight numbers, I might not argue with that, but that's probably just more to the fact that I'm throwing it on Anheuser. When you throw it flatter or if you throw it on Anheuser, it ends up flying quite neutral. Good glide, but not a ton of glide, so it's pretty controllable in terms of controlling the distance on approaches and those short-range tee shots. Not like a floaty disc that's going to keep carrying for a long time, but something that'll still get out there, especially if you put some pop on it. So a nice, neutral, workable, all-around disc. She, again, putts with them, throws them on approaches, throws them on tee shots, and I can see why. It's a really solid mold, and it's one that I could absolutely switch to. Like if I had to put a pair of these in my bag instead of daggers and putt with them next round and throw them on tees and stuff, I would have no issue controlling them. And honestly, it's one of those discs that I got it in the hand, kind of feeling it, taking a look at it. I could have done the review without even testing these. You know, they basically did exactly what I expected them to do. It's that kind of stable, neutral flight. It's not understable where it flips up very much at all, maybe just a little bit out of the hand, but it's not riding to the right unless you put it on Anheuser for me at all. It'll just have that nice straight flight and really didn't do anything that surprised me, but that's not a bad thing. It was a very solid flyer that I think we both threw some really excellent shots with out there on the course, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. So thanks once again to Chelsea for appearing on the channel, helping me out and connecting with me out there in Clackamas. And also, since she had so many, we had mine and then she had like 5 or 6 of hers, we were able to get a ton of flight footage. So if I don't have time to tack it all into this video in strategic places, I might just throw a couple extra clips on the end, but you're going to get the idea. This thing's a solid flyer, good putter, good approach disc, great all-around short-range disc, and I think something that anybody could use, a really solid first release from a new company. So good job, Scott. I enjoyed the disc. Be happy to test more of the plastic in the future. And thank you once again to the Disc Golf Depot for sponsoring this video by hooking me up with this individual one, and also being a sponsor of Chelsea. She is on Team Disc Golf Depot, so we appreciate their support very much. I appreciate all of you, my fans, viewers, subscribers, Patreon support team. I love you, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Cheers.